So, recently Supergirl released in theaters, and there's been a whole lot of discussion surrounding the movie and James Gunn's DC universe as a whole. And I thought I'd pitch in and give my own 2 cents. Welcome everyone. This is The Milestoner, and today I really want to look at the DC universe or the DCU so far and share my overall thoughts. Now, as we all know, this all started back in 2013 with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel and the birth of the DC Extended Universe or the DCEU. Personally, I was never a big fan of Henry Cavill's Superman. I think Cavill was fantastic casting for the role, but the writing completely misunderstood the character. Superman doesn't let innocent people die. He doesn't cause this level of destruction in crowded areas if he can help it. You know who does? This is not Superman. This is. And come on, he isn't a Jesus figure. He is a Boy Scout with superpowers and he will do whatever he can to help people. At his core, Superman is an alien trying to live among humans and be one of them. He would never kill Zod this way, even if it meant saving others. Now, yes, Superman has killed Zod in the comics, most notably in Superman issue number 22, but it was an extreme situation where the death was treated as a last resort. Afterwards, Superman is consumed by guilt and he even goes into self-imposed exile. Cavill Superman, on the other hand, threatens army officers and then happily joins the Daily Planet like nothing has happened. Things only got worse with Batman vs Superman, where the movie literally opens with him mercilessly killing terrorists, and later during the Capitol bombing, he doesn't even attempt to save anyone. And for God's sake, he is not a Jesus figure. And the less we talk about Batman, the better. Even the structuring of the universe has its own share of issues. Man of Steel, then Batman vs Superman, without even introducing Batman, throwing in the rest of the Justice League in there as cameos, and then throwing out a Suicide Squad movie, and then Justice League when we don't even know 3 out of the 6 main characters. Come on! The only smart decision was releasing Wonder Woman before Justice League. But what about Aquaman, Cyborg and Flash? Fair to say, the DCEU was a complete mess, even before Zack Snyder left. And honestly, the less said about everything that happened afterwards, the better. The only silver lining was James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which was arguably the best film in the DCEU. Yes, you can fight me on that. He followed that up with an excellent Peacemaker series, and after the critical success of both projects, obviously, Gunn was brought in alongside Peter Safran to lead DC Studios. This was the beginning of a brand new rebooted DC universe, with James Gunn announcing a slate of films and TV shows that would make up Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. And honestly, I was very excited. A proper Superman movie, a Green Lantern series, a Batman film featuring Damian Wayne, Swamp Thing, I couldn't wait. The DC fan in me who grew up watching Justice League Unlimited and Young Justice was giddy. And then we got the first official DCU project in 2025, Creature Commandos. It was essentially another Suicide Squad story, except with monsters like the Bride, Weasel, and Dr. Phosphorus. Now, it was a fun show with extremely well written characters, but starting your brand new cinematic universe with this felt a little odd to me. But then we got to the real magnum opus, the film I was waiting for, Superman. I was genuinely impressed with the marketing. David Cornsweet looked perfect in the role, and I walked into theaters with my fingers crossed, hoping and praying for it to be good. And this was Superman, pulled right out of the comics. The entire film felt like an episode of Justice League Unlimited brought to life, and I had the biggest smile on my face throughout. This was the Superman movie I had always wanted. Sure, you can criticize some of the campier elements or point out the occasional rough CGI, but this became my favorite DC project since the Batman in 2022. The DCU was off to a great start. And then we got Peacemaker Season 2. Sure, it was an enjoyable season of the show and fleshed out the characters more. But I definitely felt it to be a step down from Season 1, with the entire story essentially being a setup for a future storyline. And this is where I started becoming a little wary of the planning. The next few projects lined up were Supergirl, the Lantern series, and a clayface horror film, all in 2026. Then we'll be getting Man of Tomorrow in 2027, a Deathstroke and Bane film, a Nightwing and Red Hood animated project, and even a Teen Titans project are all in development. But wait, why are we getting a Clayface movie before we even get introduced to this universe's Batman? We have Supergirl, yes, but where is Wonder Woman? What happened to Booster Gold, The Brave and the Bold, Paradise Lost, The Authority, and Swamp Thing? We have got no announcements, no updates regarding all of these projects. The MCU started by establishing the core members of the Avengers. The trinity of Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor formed the backbone of the universe before there was any expansion into other smaller characters. We are now 4 projects into the DCU, and Superman is the only member of DC's trinity who has been properly introduced. In fact, by this time next year, he'll have appeared in 3 separate projects. But what about Batman? What about Wonder Woman? Now coming to Supergirl, I had mixed feelings about the film. I loved Millie Alcock's portrayal of Kara. I genuinely think this is the closest we've come to her comic counterpart in live action. Jason Momoa was also fantastic as Lobo. This might be a hot take, but I never really liked him as Aquaman. It always felt like a miscast to me. Lobo, on the other hand, fits him perfectly, and it is a role he's also wanted to play for years. But on a story level, Supergirl was fairly run-of-the-mill. It was a perfectly enjoyable superhero movie, but it didn't bring anything new to the table. And this is where my worries began for the DCU. We are now 4 projects in, and for me, Superman is still the only one that truly stood out. Now you could argue that it's only been a year and the DCU simply needs more time to find its footing. And honestly, I would agree to that to an extent. I also feel that post MCU the tide has hugely changed for the superhero genre, and especially for DC, since the failure of the DCEU is quite recent. The MCU's first phase had a simple, clear goal: establish the core heroes and bring them together in the Avengers. Right now, we don't even know who the core members of the Justice League are going to be. Batman and Wonder Woman haven't even remotely entered the picture yet, and there haven't been any meaningful updates on their projects. And don't even get me started on characters like The Flash, Aquaman, or Martian Manhunter. We know a Jimmy Olsen show is in production, but where is the Justice League? Why are we spending so much time expanding the universe when we haven't even built its foundation? Now, I do have high hopes for the Lanterns series. It will finally introduce Jon Stewart, a character we have never properly seen in live action, and someone who will become a key member of the Justice League moving forward. But despite that optimism, I am still worried about the future of the DCU. This isn't me saying that James Gunn doesn't understand his characters, because Superman proved that he absolutely does. My concern is the planning. I genuinely think that the DCU needs to course correct a little by focusing on its core heroes before branching out into the more obscure corners of the universe. We really need a destination for this franchise right now, otherwise it all looks very scattershot. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think about the current state of the DC universe. Do you agree with my concerns? Or are you willing to give James Gunn a bit more time before judging the bigger picture? Tell me down in the comments. Also, if you like this video and want more such content, do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.